The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the man from Leng. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, I have a spoiler from Horror in High Gear, the third Mythos pack in the Innsmouth Conspiracy cycle. Big thank you to FFG for providing the spoiler. They are always appreciated. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these spoilers. If you'd like to support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's get started. My spoiler for Horror in High Gear is Cryptic Grimoire, Text of the Elder Guardian. It's a 3-cost asset that costs 4 experience points. It has willpower and intellect skill icons, the item tome, and bless traits. You can only include this asset in your deck by upgrading it from Cryptic Grimoire untranslated, and only if you have translated the grimoire in your campaign log. The first response is after you resolve one or more curse tokens during a skill test, place that many secrets on Cryptic Grimoire. Once you have placed some secrets on it, you may trigger its second response. When you would draw the top card of the encounter deck, spend 5 secrets, draw a card from your deck instead. The Cryptic Grimoire takes up a hand slot. This is the second upgrade for Cryptic Grimoire that we have seen. The first upgrade was spoiled on Asmodee's pre-order page for Horror in High Gear, and we will take a look at that card in a moment. Let's talk about the power of this card. Drawing a card from your deck instead of the encounter deck is a very powerful effect, especially if you can trigger it toward the end of the game. If you consider that the typical scenario is about 12 turns long, if you are able to trigger this once or twice toward the end of a scenario, that's 1 or 2 encounter cards that you are not going to see, and you are drawing a card from your deck to boot, which is very, very nice indeed. Now, I say you will probably end up triggering this card toward the end of a scenario because it is quite slow. There are a lot of hoops to jump through before you will be able to trigger it. First, you've got to draw and play the Cryptic Grimoire, of course. Then you've got to play a bunch of cards that will add curse tokens to the bag, or cards that will add secrets directly to the Cryptic Grimoire. Then you need to take a bunch of skill tests in order to draw those curse tokens so that you can stack them on the Cryptic Grimoire. And this could be potentially problematic if you are playing in multiplayer and you are the only one adding those curse tokens into the bag, because there are going to be so many more skill tests. Your other players at the table may be drawing those curse tokens instead of you, and you don't get to stack secrets on this if they are drawing your curse tokens. So hopefully you have another way to add secrets to this card, or you are not the only player at the table who is adding curse tokens to the bag. Speaking of adding secrets directly to the Cryptic Grimoire, players do have a few options for that. Of course, there is Astounding Revelation, an event from the Dream Eaters Deluxe expansion. We've got the Eldritch Sophist, who is revealed in Into Deep. He can move secrets to this asset as a free triggered ability. We have Enraptured, who can add a secret if you are able to pass an intellect skill test. And Truth from Fiction, a seeker event, which can also add secrets directly to this. Both Enraptured and Truth from Fiction were released in the Boundary Beyond. So hopefully, you are able to add enough curse tokens to the bag in order to draw them in a timely fashion. And if that's not going to work out for you, then you are going to need to supplement that with cards like Astounding Revelation, Eldritch Sophist, Enraptured, and Truth from Fiction, just to give you enough secrets in order so you can trigger this thing when you want to. So all in all, I do like the effect. However, it is quite slow. I think that is mitigated somewhat by the fact that you are probably not intended to trigger this in the early to mid game. This is really a late game card that you are looking to trigger towards the end of a scenario so you can clinch the victory. I think it's also worth discussing how this card stacks up against some of the other encounter deck manipulation options available in the Seeker card pool. I'm thinking here of Dr. William T. Mallison, a level 0 ally who was released in Lost in Time and Space, and Forewarned, a level 1 Seeker event that came out in the Unspeakable Oath. Both of those cards let you see the encounter card before you make a decision whether to cancel it or not, or in the case of Dr. William T. Mallison, shuffle it back into the deck and draw a new one. This card, you don't really know what the impact is until you draw that card. Now, if you are using this card at the end of a scenario and you never draw that encounter card, well, that's just awesome. But if you are simply delaying that encounter card draw by a turn, you really don't know. That encounter card may still wreck you. It's just going to be one turn later. So while I like the effect, I sort of wish you got to see the encounter card before you trigger this thing. It would make it a little bit easier to know what kind of impact it is having on the game. As I mentioned at the top of this episode, this is the second upgrade for Cryptic Grimoire that we know about. The first upgrade was spoiled on Asmodee's pre-order page for the Horror in High Gear Mythos pack. That card is Cryptic Grimoire, Text of the Elder Herald. It's a 3-cost asset that costs 4 experience points. It has intellect and agility skill icons, the item, tome, and curse traits. You can only include this asset in your deck by upgrading it from Cryptic Grimoire, untranslated, and only if you have translated the Grimoire in your campaign log. Its first response is, after you resolve one or more curse tokens during a skill test, place that many secrets on Cryptic Grimoire. And the second response is, when you play an insight event during your turn, spend 2 secrets. That event gains fast, reduce its cost by 1. And this version of the Cryptic Grimoire also takes up a hand slot. I think it's interesting to compare these two versions of the Cryptic Grimoire. Obviously, triggering the response on this version only requires 2 secrets, so it's a little bit quicker than its counterpart. This version of the Cryptic Grimoire also synergizes with insight events, and if we're talking about insight events, we are talking about Joe Diamond, whose hunch deck is made up of nothing but insight events. Now, Joe does already get a resource cost reduction on playing those events, -2. So the -1 isn't amazing for him, but it is still helpful. I think the big power here is the fact that the events gain fast. And so if you are saving yourself a resource and making those insight events fast, you are generating not only resource advantage, but also action advantage, which is huge in this game. Now, there are quite a few great insight events in this game. I thought we would take a look at just a few of them. We've got I've Got a Plan, which costs 3 resources. So if you are able to use the Cryptic Grimoire on it, you could play it for 2 resources and fast. So you are getting to attack an enemy. Basically take a free action to attack an enemy, which is pretty good. You've got Deciphered Reality. Again, a very expensive event normally, so you get a little bit of a price reduction on it, but then you get to investigate and gather a whole bunch of clues as a free trade, basically as a fast action, which is amazing. No Stone Unturned. If you need to search your deck and find a particular card, you can use it in conjunction with the Cryptic Grimoire to make it a little bit cheaper and fast, so you still have 3 actions remaining on your turn. And then there's Preposterous Sketches, which you can reduce the cost of and make fast and draw 3 cards as long as there is a clue at your location. So it almost, if you combine it with Cryptic Grimoire, it almost turns it into a Cryptic Research, which is very nice indeed. After taking a look at the 2 upgrades for Cryptic Grimoire, I think I like this one better than I do the Text of the Elder Guardian. I like the resource cost reduction on this, as well as making those events fast. You can definitely build a deck around this card and stack it full of insight events and take a lot of free actions over the course of your turn. That generates a lot of action advantage, and if you're drawing 3 cards as a fast action, that is going to be awesome over the course of a game. Text of the Elder Guardian is, as I mentioned, somewhat slower, and its effect is a little harder to judge because you don't actually get to see what encounter card you are delaying. So it could be very good, or it who knows, it might not. You might have been able to handle that encounter card just fine, and it's the one the next one after that, that's the that will cause you issues. Or perhaps it's one that you drew earlier in the game that you weren't able to use the Cryptic Grimoire on because you hadn't amassed 5 secrets on it yet. So I think I like this version of the card a little bit better. There are a ton of insight events in the game, and a lot of them are very, very good. And so turning those, being able to play those cards as a fast action is, I think, just too good to pass up. That's going to do it for my spoiler of Horror in High Gear. Thanks again to FFG for the spoiler. They are always appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the 2 upgrades for the Cryptic Grimoire. Are you going to be purchasing the Text of the Elder Guardian and delaying those encounter deck draws? Or are you going to opt for the Text of the Elder Herald and reduce the cost of those insight events and make them fast? Let me know in the comments down below.